Yeah? How did someone like me get here? I found out you must earn a halo before eternity can embrace you. Come and sit with me for a moment. Not as a child seeking instruction, and not as a man defending his opinions, but as a humble soul as I address you. I speak to you now not from doctrine, not from books, not from any flag or creed, but from the quiet authority of a great love that waits in eternity for you, that has watched you breathe since before you knew your own name. If there is one power that shapes a human life more than strength, more than intellect, more than victory, it is the ability to forgive. In my contemplations of silences and long pilgrimages it has taught me, in some way, we all hold ourselves hostage in our secret privacy. We consent to the abuses we endure. Yes, I was a boozer and smoker. What drove me to it changed when I forgave myself. The very people who deliberately enjoy wrongdoings is because they are jealous, and their parasite nature weaponizes being rude and callous, that satisfies unconsciously addictive for them. Answering back only feeds this. They do not deserve to be pardoned or exonerated, yet admit it. Every time you think about any portion of their injustice to you, or you bring it up in confessions to strangers, it is reoccurring yet again in you by opening the wounds in your psyche. For your own sake, you must forgive and liberate yourself, and await the justice of life to happen, not in your chosen time, but creation's. And when it does, you know a living force is listening. This is a promised truth. Most times these rejections are a form of protection that are revealed later, not the kind spoken too quickly to escape discomfort, but the kind that ripens slowly, like fruit under a patient sun. Forgiveness not an ending. It is a living circle with no beginning and no edge. Each time you return to it, it reveals another layer of freedom, often annexating a new direction of bounty. This is why forgiveness is the work of warriors, not those trained in violence, but those trained in restraint, humility, and inner clarity. Often you must wait for its understanding. But notice this. Often creation has mercy on the perpetrator, associated with their crime that was done to you, for the terrible affliction they now endure. They seem oblivious how it happened. They are spared the doom of their self-creation. And how sweet and merciful creation is in its timing. If you haven't done the spiritual work, faith grows this way too, not as blind belief, but as a disciplined trust that life will teach you repentance and mercy that gains redemption. This is built into the heart's honesty. In all act of compassion in worship, each protocol strips away the language and tones of contempt, and forgiveness becomes the same represented human principle as a way to love, neutralizing where fear and apprehension once ruled. Forgiveness is not weakness, my beloved. It builds an internal strength that allows you to stand unhidden in the presence of what is sacred, whether you call that God, truth, or conscience. You are more responsible than you realize, not for controlling the world, but for tending your corner of it. Freedom is waiting on your minds. Many cultures are anchored in ancient hatred because of multiple true facts, but the mind can always rationalize it if the heart first forgives for a better future. It's as simple as that. It begins by forgiveness. It does not stand alone. To forgive without wisdom can leave the door open to repeated harm. To release without understanding can fracture trust. In the cosmic scale of things, one-sided victory always returns as insidious weight. Justice matures only when truth is welcomed into the heart, not when blame is exported to others. This makes justice blind. Every atrocity results as a wound in a human heart. That does not excuse it, but it explains where healing must begin. A lost heart leads to a lost soul, and lost souls become evil-doers. Fear disguises vengeance to be righteousness. A grooming of ignorance pretends to be certainty. Neglect passes responsibility downstream until cruelty feels justified. This is why the ancient wisdoms in all cultures converge on one instruction, spoken differently but meaning the same thing. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, not as a moral commandment, but as a law of consciousness. What you inflict doesn't disappear. It returns as a mental haunting atmosphere, bludgeoning fate, and warping lost memories. Conflict tricks the mind into believing there must be winners and losers. But a true heart knows better. Soulful compassion creates outcomes where dignity survives on both sides. Sin, the alternative, is a debt of stupidity, ignorance, and neglect. I like to call it the PhD of nincompoops. Now hear this. The greatest imbalance is not only in the oppressor or the oppressed, it is in the silent majority who look away. Comfort, without conscience, becomes its own form of guilt. The cozy majority are the sheep, only peeking in to awaken. And then one person speaks what everyone knows, and that spark creates a tsunami of new thoughts. Alas, arriving a decade too late. False patriotism, broken parenting, propaganda dressed as faith. These are not spiritual failures alone. They are failures of care. When economics is used to excuse the harm of war, it has already abandoned truth, and ceasefires are only weaponized temporary fake forgiveness. Prayers spoken after deliberate violence do not sanctify it. They expose the emptiness behind it. There is no freedom promised at the end of hatred. Only real actions of forgiveness release the soul from captivity. First forgiving yourself, then the instigators consolidating and making good on rectifying their sins. Your soul is not silent, though many say you must be still to hear it. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it burns your feet and forces you to run. It warns, it sings, it inspires, it grieves. When ignored too long, it freezes under unexpressed emotion. When honored, it becomes artistry. But can you see how violence mortgages the future? War tattoos the collective soul and demands repayment across generations. Every act of vengeance binds generations of echoes. In the end, all violence deprives the heart of divine intimacy. Forgiveness is the sanctuary that lifts you, not because you are innocent, but because mercy is the foundation to better future histories. Understand this, my beautiful ones. You are already forgiven. So stop recreating a presence of doom that there is no God, or creation's is a science of a big bang. Know you are a living miracle. When you accept that truth, the story changes. Not by erasing the past, but by liberating the future for all the people who invite chilly thoughts in, and only accept their own debate through their emotions, who ignore their own hearts for a mental jury to finalize an act of vengeance. There is a surprise when one day their emotions freeze. It's so cold it scalds physically, incurring an internally crippling status. This proves one thing in consciousness, that if you can cripple yourself with negativity, you can also love yourself enough to forgive, and bathe in the light of spirit to nurture your soul. I am here now to confirm. You can also use forgiveness as a balance to grow wings, find love, and fly in your souls.